Hey there, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and this channel is teaching tips, tools, ideas, and resources for new college instructors. The new semester is starting soon, and so I thought I'd give you a few ideas of how you can make your particular course even more of interest to students. And this is by giving them more and more agency in the classroom. I have videos from before about how to have student choice in the classroom, for example. But in this case, these are all different ideas of how at the very beginning you can give students power and then design your course accordingly. So it's important to watch this now before the semester begins because it will be harder to integrate when you're already in the semester. Option one is to give your students the power to decide on some of the learning objectives of your course. So day one, hey, here's a syllabus, let's go through it. We're covering all this information. Here's the readings of the course, here are the assignments. But here I have a few basic course objectives that we will be meeting throughout this term. It's A, it's B, it's C. Today though, I want to discuss with you more objectives that you want to get out of this course. Okay, so again, knowing our reading list, knowing our assignments, knowing how the course is structured in the basic course outline, and knowing what we already will be covering for sure, what are things you want to learn in this course? And then have that discussion with them of possibilities. And then by the end of that conversation on day one, potentially have a list now, maybe of 5 objectives or 6 rather than those original 3. Okay, so we're gonna be doing A, B, and C, but we've also discussed that you're interested in also accomplishing D and E. So thank you for letting me know that. I'll make sure and tweak future lessons, future assignments, small assignments, maybe even big ones, to match those new objectives as well. So again, in this way, students have buy-in, okay, well, we agreed that we want to learn these things too. So definitely want to pay attention to those, but also, especially if they build off of the first 3, I better be paying attention the whole time in order to get what I really want from this course. So that's option 1, right? Having them pick, having them design certain learning objectives for your course. Now, the second option here is having students pick projects for the course. So you might have, okay, we have a syllabus, we're going through it on day 1, but your assignment descriptions might just be assignment 1, paper, assignment 2, project, assignment 3, presentation. But then that's it. Having a basic sense, okay, here's the objective you're gonna meet in this first one, here's an objective you're gonna meet in the second one, here's what you're gonna be doing for the third one, right? But there's no specifics. So again, today I want to discuss with you, we're gonna have to write a paper in this course, but what do you wanna get out of the paper? How do you think this paper should be designed, right? How long should it be? How much research do we think we should be doing here? When we have the project, this is open-ended. We can get really creative here, or we can get a bit more, standard. The presentation, you're gonna have to present a certain amount of time, but how do you want it to be structured, right? So kind of giving them, again, that power of what do you wanna get out of this course? What do you think would be most beneficial for these types of project designs? And then once you know that, great. Day 2, I'm gonna have at least a bit more description of what these assignments will look like. And obviously once I assign them later on in the term, they'll have the full instructions. But again, based off of what students express, interest them, or that they wanna make sure to learn in your course. Right? So the option 1 and option 2 don't have to be in the same course, right? So you might have, hey, here are 6 objectives, right? But here are 3 vague activity descriptions. What do you want to get out of these activities, right? But then you might have option 1, here are 3 objectives. You can fill out 2 or 3 more, but the assignments are already set. I'm not saying they have to build off each other. It can be separate. Of course, it can be it can be built off each other as well, if that's what you prefer. Now, the third option is potentially having students pick the theme of the course. So, okay, we're in this course. Again, here are learning objectives, here are readings, or the concepts that you have to learn in this course. But we're gonna talk about a theme, right? Some way that we're going to categorize, right? To influence, to organize what we learn in this course. And so maybe you have, let's say, a literature course, which of course is what I did, and we have these books. They're all young adult novels. Some are contemporary, some are fantasy, some are historical fiction. So we're not doing that kind of theme, right? So it's not, historical fiction because we've already chosen all the books. They're already on the book list. but what do you kind of really want as a thematic focus? Like, do you want to focus on gender and literature? Do you want to focus on, plot structure and literature? Do you want to focus on adaptation? So we're going to read these books and then see if we can find some kind of adaptation of what already exists or create our own. So getting a sense of, hey, here's what we have to work with, but is there like a strand, a thread that you want to have really a focus in the foreground throughout the lessons that I teach, throughout the activities that you do? If so, tell me, right? Let's choose one as a group, and I'll keep that in mind again as we go forward. And so again, in this way, it's giving students that like, hey, great, like we're gonna focus on something that interests me. This can take a while to discuss because there's going to have to be some consensus, right? So there might be, various themes of interest, right? Just like before, maybe some assignment of interest, some objectives of interest, but you have to kind of debate, you have to discuss to come to a consensus going forward. So that's option 3, picking a theme. Another option is picking a modality. So you might have your lesson plans already very settled, the course content very settled, but maybe you're like, I'm going to be creating as I go. It's a new course, so every week I'll make sure I'm ready, but I still have a lot to create. So you might have students choose, hey, what do you want to be the primary modality of how information is shared with you? So do you want to have a lot of video, each week along with our readings? Do you want to have maybe an infographic of the main concepts of each week so you kind of have that as a guide throughout the weeks? Do you want to listen to a podcast episode for homework each week tied to the course concepts? So giving a sense to give students, hey, if you can only choose, we're going to have all types, right? But if you can choose one to really emphasize throughout the course, which modality works best for you? Like, do you think listening would be the best option to have going forward throughout? So again, podcast. Do you think video would be the best way forward? Do you want something static that you can just like download the infographic and have that wherever you may be? So giving a sense of, hey, what modality do you want me to emphasize in this course? Now in this case, student opinion on this is going to differ. Like, hey, I really work best with video. I work best with written text. I work best with audio, right? So you're not going to have a consensus in the sense of all of us work best with video, right? But you can have them discuss like, okay, well, maybe we all have our different preferences or work best in different ways, but what do you think would be best for this course, right? Do we think we'll find the best materials via video? Is this a course that really would benefit and there's like 1,500 podcasts about, let's say, business, right, advice versus a course that is more, based off of STEM? Maybe you want to have more video because you can actually see what's going on with the concepts. So again, potentially have them choose a primary modality that will be more heavily emphasized throughout the whole term. Though again, all of them will be used throughout depending on what you've created, what you find for your students. And then choice of activity design. So you might say, hey, there's some class periods where it's gonna have to be lecture, it's gonna have to be an individual activity, it's gonna have to be a group project. Like some of them, can't be changed. But there is room in our course outline, in our course schedule, for variety. So when there's that flexible moment where we can be doing any type of activity that you would like, what is the class preference? Do you prefer to have think, pair, share types of activities when these moments come? Would you prefer having individual assignments and then you're just working on it on your own and I'm kind of going around and giving you some advice and answering questions and checking what you're doing? Do you think best would be small group projects, groups of 3, groups of 5? Do you think whole class discussions are what's going to be most beneficial to you and what you're going to enjoy the most? So give them some options, right? Like, hey, here are the different types of activity designs in our course. Some won't be able to change on certain days, but there is some flexibility inherent in the course as well. When that moment comes, what is the top maybe 1 or 2 design types that you want me to keep in mind, right, in my back pocket to use when designing those days of the week? And so again, getting a sense of a consensus amongst your students, and this could be more than one, right? It doesn't have to be like one choice only. It could be maybe even 3, depending on what you think would be, would work in your potential course. And again, so this way, okay, so this group of students, they prefer having small group projects when it comes to these moments. Good to know. I'll keep that in mind when I'm designing my lesson plans in the future. or these students, feel that just kind of having their individual work because they're go-getters and they want to have that focus. Great. So just getting a sense from your students, hey, what activity designs do you prefer in the classroom? I'll keep that in mind as I design the course. So again, this is like first week stuff. Like, hey, I really want your input in this course so that you are engaged. So I'm doing what's best for all of us, and knowing that knowledge, I'll tweak my design accordingly. So these all can work really great for courses that you've never done before, because most likely you're designing a lot of it as you go and as you get a sense of the students and as you find relevant content. But even ones that are pretty rock solid, I taught this course 5 years in a row, maybe you want to change things up a bit, and these options, one or more of them, could have you give you a focus on how to do that really, again, centers the student experience. So I hope you found these interesting, found them helpful. Click like if you have. Comment with your own suggestions of adding this kind of flexibility in week 1, and I'll see you next time with a new video.